I think we have men in the locker room that care about one another, that set a great example for one another. They care about each other, they communicate well. I told you, I believe in the guys in the locker room.
You know, I think if you would ask John Martin a week before, you know, who his best friend on the team was, he would have said Richie Incognito. The first guy to stand up for Jonathan when anything went down on the field, any kind of tussle, Richie was the first guy there. You know, when they wanted to hang out outside of football, who was together? Richie and Jonathan.
So as far as the coach and the quarterback were concerned, everything A-OK between Martin and Incognito until obviously it wasn't. And for more, we're going to bring in our panel tonight, of course. Our regulars here, Dominic Carter, journalist and author, Andrew Whitman, who you already know, and Chad Cascadden, he was a linebacker for the Jets from 95 to 99, and he's a vice president at Arthur Gallagher and Company. It's an insurance brokerage firm in New York. And from the outside, for us, this doesn't make any sense. And even if we played football at a certain level and you know, it's a different world in the locker room, but you played at the top levels. You understand better than we do the code of the locker room and all that. But A, how does this story sound to you? And B, are you even surprised at how the teammates have rallied behind Incognito and not Martin?
Does this happen in locker rooms as they're hazing, if you want to call it that? Sure there is. And, this is how guys communicate. We break each other's chops. We tell jokes. We make them get donuts on Friday. We make them take the pads into the locker room. We make them sing songs in front of us before the meetings. I see nothing wrong with that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with a little fun and a little.
This might be on the fight side.
Well, this is obviously beyond that. You can sense that, reading the text messages and seeing the voicemails, he's stepped over the line. Now, tone is hard to get over a text message. So I seeing the text messages, seeing the explicits, yeah, it sounds like he shouldn't have said that. Tone might be a little different, but still, it's inappropriate. And I think most people can agree that's inappropriate.
One thing I thought of, you obviously may even know some of the principles. I was listening to the radio this morning, and Boomer and Carton have a show, and a former Jet kicker called in and said, we bust chops in the locker room. I busted back with Joe Klecko, and the next thing I knew, my head was in the toilet, and he and Gasno had one leg each, and I literally had to rip the seat off so I didn't drown. We're laughing about it, but I said for a second, if that happened at my workplace, the lawsuits, the police, I know it's a different world, but I guess the question is, when you have Richie Incognito, a guy who got thrown off his college team, who got thrown off an NFL team for behavior, who was voted the dirtiest player in the NFL, deciding where the line starts and stops, aren't we asking for trouble?
Yes. Yes, and Miami they did not know about it. They decided because he's a good player, we'll take a shot. We can control his behavior. We're a strong enough coaching staff.
Worse than that, Chad. They apparently assigned him to toughen up Martin.
Yeah, I know. And that's what's surprising about this is, in my mind, and especially this is a kid from Stanford with great parents, a great upbringing, who is highly successful in college. What kind of toughening up are you looking to do for this guy? I mean, on film, is he really soft and they're like, wow, he really needs to firm up his blocking protection? I don't know. And maybe they wanted him to be a little nastier. Did he need to be nastier in order to be a better player? I don't know.
Dominic, one thing that shocked, a lot of things surprised me out of this, but Richie Incognito in there, the stuff we bleeped out, the N-word he said on a few occasions, okay? And apparently he also did that with a black teammate that he was very close with. In the video, they had no problem with it. The N-word, we saw what happened to Riley Cooper in Philadelphia when he said that after a concert. And a lot of people thought he was lucky that he, made it out of training camp alive. Mm-hmm. However, in this case, the black guys have gotten behind Incognito almost universally. Apparently, he has honorary status with the black guys. And Martin has a problem where nobody's accepting him because he spoke out. And also, they've made a point. He was a private school kid. He went to Stanford. He's got the Harvard parents. We're seeing a lot of this stuff isn't just about football. It's about who is and who isn't accepted in a locker room, and it's more about what you do on the field than who you are.
Richard, This deals with the dirty little secrets of the black community. Number one, what's the best way I can describe this? When there are some white people, athletes, entertainers, that fit in naturally with the black community. The best way I can describe that is an Eminem, rapper Eminem. He can go in any private audience of black rappers and he's almost like a brother. But I'm sure that Eminem does not go around using the N-word. It's unacceptable. I didn't play pro ball. We got a pro ball player at the table. Some of them use the N-word. But here's where it gets extremely complicated and the dirty little secrets of the black community. And I don't know how we deal with this, but in the black community, it's viewed as, within the community, if you are too successful, if you don't sound like the average brother, if you are too educated, you are not one of us. And you know who ran into that during the campaign? Barack Obama. Remember, the black community did not embrace Senator Obama in the beginning because he was, and so when they call people, you know, I don't want to go through the terms, but it's very complicated, extremely complicated.
You know, I've heard other management types, Bill Polian, who was the GM and the architect of the Bill teams that went to the Super Bowl, so the Colts teams when Peyton Manning was there. He said that never would have happened because the coaches draw the lines, they make sure what's going on, and the inference was none of this could have been happening without the coaches knowing. From your experience, does the position coach, does the trainer, does the strength coach, forget about the head coach, do they know what's going on and they look the other way, encourage it, or could they possibly been as much in the dark as they seem?
Yeah, it's a good question. We were talking about this earlier, talking about culture. And when I was at the Jets with Parcells and with Belichick, in the defensive meeting room, Belichick would say, guys, have your fun with the rookies, with the singing and the food and all the different things. But at the end of training camp, when day one starts and we're preparing for that first regular season game, that's it. We need these guys.
Yeah.
We need these guys on the field. They are part of this team, and all that stuff goes away. And you know what? I was very surprised to see a couple of guys in Miami stand behind Incognito and go into the public and say that, because if it were a Parcells and Belichick team, bam, there is no talking about it. That stays in the locker room, and even if you want to say something, you just politely say, you know what, no comment. Let's see if we can work this out inside before it gets out.
And we know, Andrew, from what the attorney had to say, this thing's going to court. Where we weren't sure how it was going to play out, this thing's going to see the inside of a courtroom here. They're already saying this wasn't one player. There's going to be litigation here, and
it may be the NFL, but it's still an American business. It's still a, you know, it's still a workplace. It seems like he's got a pretty good case. And
the NFL better be ready. Sensitivity training is coming before the first kickoff next year. This will change, I think, the way that locker rooms are policed. Okay, when we come back on RFL, we're going to stay with football. We're going to turn to injuries that never heal. Tony Dorsett, the latest Hall of Fame football player, diagnosed with brain damage caused by on-field trauma. We will come back on that. I'll also share part of my conversation with Harry Carson on this as well.